Hi gang, you're listening to Burlesque and Lace, and I am Dinah Dare.
And I'm Aya Storm, and here we dive into the latest dilemmas, dramas, and deliberations in burlesque. That is incorrect, but we're going with it.
We chat about different topics every month, and if you are on our YouTube, you can see that we have a guest. Introduce yourself, my lovely.
Hi, my name's Joona, pronouns he, him, and she, her, and I'm a burlesque performer based in New York City.
And we are all actually in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
IRL.
In France.
In France. Which none of us can speak.
Yeah, we're here at the Strasbourg Burlesque Festival.
Mm-hmm. Where you two are performing, and I was bullied horrendously.
Bullied? It's a strong word.
I was bullied.
It took about 30 seconds of convincing.
Lies and slander. But we're here to talk about a topic that we ask about a lot, actually, which is festivals. And we have the festival darling with us. How many festivals did you do last year?
Last year was 18.
Wow.
That's insane.
Including 3 Canadian ones, 2 European ones, and 1 in Panama. But most of it was domestic within like
America. Yeah.
But I performed quite all over, and kind of got to explore and absorb of like what the different scenes are like.
Yeah, good trying.
Yeah. But 18 last year, 2 first year, 6 second year, and then 18 last year, and I have been in 1 this year so far, with 5 more to go this year.
Nice.
So far.
Yeah.
And it's February. It's the first weekend in February.
Yeah. It's not one like for festival of the year.
Yeah. I feel like it's quite a few. It's your first festival of the year. Yes.
I mean, there's earlier festivals in the year.
Yeah.
Like Teaser generally
really
runs in January. And that's usually the kickoff for
the
I
feel like there's not a lot this time of year. So everyone's just recovering for Christmas.
I think there was an Italian one, but that was it.
Mm.
But yeah, I suppose what we're talking about then is like the differences. There's so much I want to talk about, to be honest. And we were having these conversations at fucking 1 a.m. last night, which does also not help. My first question I wanted to ask, and I said this to you last night, and hopefully you didn't think about it. What criteria do you consider if someone says to you, what is the burlesque best festival that you've been to?
Best festival.
But what is the criteria that you would judge that on?
I mean, some of those like retrospective, right? Like I had a good experience at a festival, so I want to apply again.
Yeah.
Some of it is proactive. Some like if I hear good things about a festival from my friends, I'm gonna apply.
Yeah.
So like for example, you had a really great time at Alps.
Yes.
So I applied. I didn't get in this year, but I applied because I was like, oh, with my friend Dinah, I had a good time.
Yeah, same. You're the reason that I applied.
God, I hope you said it.
But if she has a good time and I trust her opinion, I'm gonna apply.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like reapplying for a festival, I think something that I look for is like the production quality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are there people that take care of its cast?
Mm-hmm.
Do people show up and like actually have like dedicated tech spots for each of your performances? Mm-hmm. Another thing that I consider is like, did my friends also apply?
Yeah.
That also plays a role because like I want to hang out with my friends.
Yes.
This is why we're like
we're like on a mission to get into a festival together this year. It's been too long, and the last one wasn't great. So.
But yeah, are you kind of the same though?
Kind of. I think I look at the lineups as well.
Yeah.
Like headliners are a big criteria for me. Like you say, retrospectively, like will I apply again? Like if someone's asking me what are the best festivals, often it'll be ones that I've had a good time at, both as a performer and getting looked after, but then also as an audience member watching the other shows, being like, what was the general standard? What was the mix? Was it diverse? Was it lots of different styles? Was it a well curated lineup, if that makes sense? And just general things like, what did I get out of it? You know, is it paid? Do we get any swag? You know, is the video and photo content? Because that's a lot of the reason why we do festivals, because we often don't make a lot of money out of these.
We very much more frequently lose.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, like we were discussing this last night, my Red Act that's going to Alps, that's its first festival slot, and I've just been desperate to get that. I don't have a good video of that act because often it's in small venues or the lighting's not great, things like that, which then makes it harder to get booked for anything unless you have good video content. So like a festival's a really good way, if it's a good one, to guarantee.
But then you would have like a dedicated videographer who shoot the video in the right way for
and it's
other
like
festivals.
a well-lit stage and all that kind of stuff, which makes a difference. It's not like in a basement bar with no lights.
What about you? What do you consider when?
So if someone asks me an opinion on like a festival, I'll always kind of come at it from two angles. I'll come at it from the production angle. Was it a good production? How well was I taken care of? All that kind of stuff. But I'll also go, did I have a nice time? Because sometimes I had a nice time and the festival was okay.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, look, here's the things about the festival that aren't great. However, I had a great time because of X, Y, and Z. And I think that kind of balance gives people an idea because I'll be like, right, the festival's not great, but the set's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, go to that city, you can do this, that, and the next thing if you're looking for an excuse to go. Or I had a great time because all my friends were there. And I think it's that balance as well. I also do think, if we're going back to talking about like European and American, I do tend to find that an overall festival experience tends to be better in America, from my experience.
I would agree mostly. There's a couple of exceptions, and it's mostly on the lines of what you were just saying about like, did I have a good experience like outside of the shows itself?
Yep.
And that would be Malta was one, Hebden Bridge is another, Stockholm as well. And that's because one of the things in like Malta is beautiful, and also the venue, the accommodation, and then all of the events are in one of the really nice hotels just by Valletta, the capital city, which is very walkable to everything. And like they had a pool party, like it kind of felt like mini Beehoff.
Yeah.
And then Hebden Bridge, it just feels so, it's like a reunion of the entire UK scene. It's such good vibes. And the shows are banging anyways, but like that, I think that's one of the things that cemented it as having such a good reputation is actually the community and the social aspect is that everybody has such a good time, whether they're performing, competing, just
and I mean that's something the American festivals do well is it's not just the shows. A lot of the time there's a lot surrounding it.
Yeah.
See, I think I disagree.
Really?
I think I disagree. And having done many of the American festivals,
you've done a lot more than us, so you would know. Yeah.
And compared to like Canadian European festivals, I feel like there are some Americans that don't have the kind of events around socializing, the classes. Some of them are just there's 3 shows and that's where you get slotted, or 2 shows and that's where you get slotted. Not every festival, and obviously we're generalizing here, but not every American festival takes care of its cast.
Oh yeah, of course.
Obviously there are some like standouts. Ohio in particular, they feed you, and you get great footage out of it, so that's a great perk. But and you also have like Canadian festivals like Kootenay, which also really takes care of you. Like we get a whole beach day.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And like we all go out for dinner. And then we got the year that we did it, we had a karaoke night, which was amazing.
That was honestly one of the highlights. It was so much fun. And I hate karaoke. And I sang.
That was the best experience.
What does Dinah do karaoke?
Panic at the Disco.
And then there are some European festivals that don't take care of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are some European festivals that are just, oh, here's 2 shows, it's happening. There's no real accommodations or things to add on top of that, which is also fine if that's what you're looking for. But I think generally speaking, and we're talking in very general terms, I feel like Canadian festivals take care of their performers the best. My favorite festival by far last year was Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver really shows up for its community, and also has all these like little vignettes of performer events, as well as a dedicated staff, a board that knows what it's doing with a diversity in mind, podcasting people from all over. And I think in general, Canadian festivals are kind of where it's at.
Yeah.
I applied and didn't get in, but even from that experience, I feel like, oh, this is a well-run festival, because like I got a nice email that was like, just acknowledge we've had your application. And then they were like, now we're moving on to this stage.
Yeah, because
Like,
we were messaging each
I was
other.
like, I love this.
Yeah.
And also, I think they put in the subject line of the email, it was clear whether you got in or not. We love that. Don't send me an email that's just outcome, and then I'm
And then you have to like read it, like, oh no. Ooh.
It's nice to be, although my phone, I've just recently upgraded my phone and it's got that AI thing that summarizes emails, but it does it in such an abrupt way.
Yeah.
So I'll get an email and it'll just be like, festival not accepted, condolence. I'm like, all right, thanks. I think it's someone sending me a really abrupt email, and then I open it and there's a whole nice little spiel, and I'm like, oh, that's just
I think Canadian burlesque is what it is these days.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I think of the 3 festivals that I performed in Canada, so I did Kootenay in Nelson, British Columbia, Vancouver. I did Saskatoon International.
Oh yeah, I got into that. I was supposed to do that, and I couldn't afford to do that.
It's expensive to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, even from North America, it was like $500.
It's not easy.
Because I got last year, I got into Montreal, Kootenay, and Saskatoon, and I was like, I can't do all 3.
Yeah, and then I did Alberta Burlesque Rodeo in Calgary.
Oh, nice.
And each of those experiences were amazing. Just all hits.
Yeah. Everyone knows that Kootenay was my favorite festival last year.
Yeah, because it just felt like a homecoming. It's like a little
so
strippers
nice.
getaway
It
in
was
mountain town somewhere.
Yeah. It was what was it Fanny kept, she was like a strippers summer camp.
Yeah.
Because that's what it felt like. But yeah, I think there's definitely differences though. So like, what would you say some of the differences between festivals here and America is?
So America is a huge country,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's a sizable whole continent.
Yes.
And each of the scenes have like their own pockets.
Yeah.
Like for example, the burlesque that I'm gonna find in Portland, it's fucking weird and it's great and it's queer as fuck. But that's not the kind of burlesque that I would find in, say, St. Louis or Minnesota, which are more, I want to say, more nerdlesque-y. Ohio also has a little bit of that as well, more like nerdlesque-y. Chicago is much more dancey. New York is much more crowd-oriented because everything there is a bar show.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get like different pockets of what the scene is like wherever you visit. Yeah. And like, I mean, you did Teaser and Hollywood. Teaser and Hollywood, like they're both similar in terms of quality of performers. Yeah. But you're gonna get a different vibe from each of the festivals because Teaser is in New Orleans and Hollywood is obviously Hollywood, and they're very different cities. Yeah. But to go back to the earlier point about the general differences between American, Canadian, and European festivals, I find that European festivals lean into humor a lot more than American festivals do. I feel like by default, American festivals, or at least American performers that I see, and that might just be the festivals that I get into, the acts that stick to me, or the acts that get chosen for that particular festival. But acts in America are very political. Not saying that like acts that I see in Europe aren't political, but they're by design trying to deliver a political message or something about politics, something about what's currently going on. And I think that is a specifically generally American thing that I see. Canadian performers I find are very, very polished.
Very,
very, very polished. They are they are also very community oriented. So when you go into a city, and I felt this way when I was in Calgary, like when you go into a city, you can feel like who really runs that region, who really runs that city, who determines the pace of what burlesque is like, who are the leaders in that space specifically. And I find that in general, Canadian burlesque is very highly polished. Obviously, I mean, look, we're going to festivals, we're going to see highly polished acts everywhere we go. Yeah. But in Canada in general, I feel like the quality of burlesque is
so high,
very high. Yeah. I've heard similar things about Australia. Yeah. Australian burlesque is very high. Yeah. We saw Maple Rose. Yeah. very high tier quality performer. But I don't know if that's because like we've only seen like the tippity top end of quality in terms
I
of
was going to say, because
burlesquers.
that's so interesting what you were saying about America being really political, because in the UK, there's a lot of thought that America's really classic and then the UK is more comedic and political.
Huh.
But that's UK specific rather than Europe, I guess. And then when you go over to Europe, it's kind of, I guess it depends on the country. Italy's quite classic.
Italy loves their classic acts.
Very
Dutch
fun,
likes
very
their
classic.
weird stuff. So
Yeah.
does Germany. But what I was thinking when you said that is, I wonder if it comes back to, you're saying you find a lot more comedy over here. I wonder if that comes back to like the roots of European burlesque, because burlesque comes from the word Italian word burla, which means to mock.
Yeah.
So it was satire.
It was
here.
always striptease.
Striptease is an American.
It came later.
It's Americanization of burlesque, which is why. And I know she's off screen. That's why when Alex said yesterday, I said, I'm not going to drag you in. When Alex said yesterday there was an actor like, that's not burlesque, that wasn't striptease. That's an American view of burlesque because striptease only came into it in America. Burlesque existed before that, but it was satire. So I wonder if that's where that root of satire has continued. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist because you're saying you're very political acts. But I'm wondering if that's where the comedy, the strong comedy,
because that's what it grew out of.
Yeah, it's like the British blondes that took it over to America originally. They were literally doing plays to mock the royals.
Yeah,
like that's what they were doing. So I wonder if that the roots of it is actually fed into what it is now.
Yeah, and I think like when I envision like what I like the pinnacle of European burlesque, specifically like British scene, is Fufu.
Yeah.
And like I've seen her egg number, and it's whack.
Who does is genius.
Yeah, and like the way that she like presents her face, it's also, and that's not to say like there isn't comedy in the US. There is comedy in the US as well. There is absolutely satire. But when I think about the different pockets and generalizing based on what I see in that specific scene.
We are going very on generalizations today, let's be honest, right? We can just caveat that.
I feel like generally Europeans find much more humor. Americans find much more like politics and like straight up sex, like strip club adjacent sex. And Canadians are very polished and they kind of mix both.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty fair. Because even what we do over here is probably more rooted in like we're kind of taking the piss. Even when we're being sexy, we're kind of taking the piss. It's like, oh, look at our arm. Would you like to see our arm on the camera? Have you seen our arm before?
A naked skin.
Yeah, ankles. So I do think that's quite interesting actually, because I do think there's weird perceptions.
Yeah.
Because we do have some political acts, but I do wonder if America, especially the past 10 years, is very political.
I mean, we're kind of going through
fair.
We're going through a fucking.
You got some things.
Yeah. So I wonder if like that's also part of it. Like politics in our day to day does exist and we engage with it, but it's not as overwhelming as it is in America.
Yeah, so I have quite a few friends that live up in Minneapolis, in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
And
they're going through it right now.
They're going through it with what's going on with ICE. And one of the performers recently did an act about ICE. Because we don't fucking like having our neighbors kidnapped. But that's like a very specific time, specific city in this period where that story needs to be told. Because we're still artists and it's silly like pushing out our little, like promos in between all the horrors of everyday life. But art is what we make out of it, and what the country is currently going through in America. We need to make art out of the situation. Otherwise it's devastating.
But that's like I remember I went to New York for my 30th and I went to House of Guess. And I saw Darlinda, and she did an abortion act. And I was like, this is great. It was fantastic. But I was like, we don't need that at home. Because abortion is enshrined in our laws. Like we're currently. Like we're not having the same fight that's kind of occurring over in America. So like yes, people would still clap and cheer and it would be amazing, but it's not necessarily something we would think to create because that's not a fight that we're having.
It's not as urgent.
Yeah, it's not a fight that we're having for the Irish, maybe.
Yeah.
Because they only got abortions recently.
Yeah.
So I do know that there's been acts over there, but I think it depends very much on what your political landscape is, what you end up creating. And we don't live in quite as a charged political situation.
I don't know what it was when you guys were going through Brexit. It was kind of
Yeah, that was horrific.
I mean, we're still fucking going through it, aren't we?
That's
we saw that over the pond and we're like, oh no, what's going on over there?
No, they fucked that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few acts of that.
Yeah.
To be fair, there is a few acts about that. So when something big does happen, you do tend to find stuff comes out, but we are not living in such a consistently highly charged political situation as you guys.
And I will also say there's structure baked into each of the cities to create those political acts. Like they have shows and producers specifically look for acts that say something about politics. This act, I want to say it's now put on my shelf, but my debut act was about circumcision, about bodily trauma that many people with penises have to go through, sometimes outside of their consent, even before they could say a single word. And I had wonderful mentors who guided me through that debut act and said, you know, that's a really sensitive topic when it comes to burlesque, but also I would watch that. And having that kind of structure and support kind of help guide political acts onto a stage and finding space for that act onto stage. That's part of why there are, or at least what I see, many more political acts in the States.
I think that's probably fair. I think we tend to not shy away, but we don't have as much.
I think we do. Well, it depends. It depends on the producers. Again, this is talking more UK specific. And then we'll bring it back to festivals. Because I've been speaking to, I'm quite good friends with Merlin the Grey, who is a trans male performer. He's got an act where he's the MC from Cabaret, and he's got like the pajamas with the trans stripes on them, and it's quite like it's a really hard hitting act. He struggles to get it booked because a lot of producers are a bit like, oh, this is quite intense. I don't know if I want to book that. And I think it's important for those acts to be platformed because, like as a country, we might not feel like we're fighting a very political fight, but there are people, especially trans people right now, that are absolutely fighting a fight. So I feel like it's even more important for those acts to be.
Fifi LaRue's got one about rape that I've seen, and it's really hard hitting and it's fantastic to watch. But again, you don't find it in a lot of shows.
No.
Our shows tend to be for entertainment purposes. I would say. That's probably.
Which also serves its own purpose, like having it be entertainment. And I also want to say, like burlesque, it is entertainment. It is entertainment, and it is also a political statement just by default. Like we're living at a time and age when our bodies, regardless of whether you're trans or cis, they want to censor our bodies in a certain way. And when you're stepping onto a stage, that is an artistic statement, no matter whether that is political in nature or not.
Just by doing it.
I agree. Coming back to festivals. Something we were chatting about last night, and this is a nice to topper.
Okay.
Curating a festival. I put a post out, I don't fucking know when it was, January, maybe December, on Facebook asking, why is it that I see, and this wasn't a judgment on anyone, it was purely I want to understand because it's very different from my experience over here. I see in America you get a lot of repeat performers year on year. We don't really have that. It's very rare. It tends to be that if you've done a festival one year, you know not to apply the next year because you're not going to get in because they're wanting to have different people.
Especially the bigger ones. I feel like some smaller ones. But most of the biggest European ones, they don't tend to repeat.
And so I sort of said, how do people curate their festivals? And loads of people commented. It was really interesting. And essentially what it came down to is the majority, and I'm not saying all, it's who replied, seemed to say that in America they have like an adjudication panel. It's based on scoring. And some of them were saying it's basically the highest scorers, and that's it. I think a lot of people were saying there's a short list and then they curate from there. Over here, I know that there is, I don't know if there's a particular scoring system, but it seems to be generally done by a producer and maybe the producer's team. And that's how the shows are curated over here. There's pros and cons to each, and I'm not going to say one of them's better than the other because they've both got problems. But I think it's interesting to talk about even just the curation of festivals is intrinsically different. And something that we've seen is maybe a con for European festivals is we don't necessarily have a lot of diversity in a lot of our guests, which we've talked about literally last night. And that's maybe something that American festivals maybe have baked into their curation. I don't know. But like, you've obviously done repeat festivals, you've talked about it. And I know that you kind of feel strongly of, and we talked about it last night, if someone scored high, then they deserve to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to expand.
I mean, there's pros and cons to different formats, right?
Yes.
Having an adjudication panel where they collectively aggregate scores and then decide based on the scores, you're gonna end up getting repeat performers because
they're at the top of their game.
They're top of their game. They have been on festival stages, so they're gonna have higher, better quality footage, which also plays a big role into getting into festivals.
The more festivals you do, the easier it is to get into more festivals. That's definitely an experience.
Because there are adjudication people that sit on multiple festivals. And because they sit on multiple festivals, they see the same acts going through over and over again. I remember having a really great conversation with Samson Knight when I had my first New York gig. And he sits on multiple adjudication boards. Former Mixed Exotic World. And he told me how much he loves Margot Manifesto's mattress act.
We were talking about that because I had posted it in when I was in Montreal, and he was like, "Oh my god, I love that act! I saw it when I was adjudicating a festival one time," and I was like,
But he's seen that act come through over multiple festivals and how much he loves that act. And you know, like if you have a name recognition, you can't ignore that. Like when I sat in on an adjudication panel for a festival, there were some names that I knew, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna think about that. And it does play a role into how much I critique and value the performer's act, even if I only get the name of the act, the name of the performer, and the video, and maybe the description.
I guess that's where the adjudication system, that's a pro of it, isn't it? It takes out personal biases if you've got lots of different people looking.
Does it though, if it's a big name?
But the downside of it, Dinah, you mentioned it last night, is that you keep seeing the same names come over and over again. There isn't as much fresh talent that comes through.
It's harder for them to get in, especially
if
they've not got great footage. They might have a banging act, but if the videos aren't it does make a difference.
And there are newbie-oriented shows and newbie-oriented festivals. The one that comes to my mind is in Minneapolis, called Nudie Newbies Nationwide. That one is specifically for people that has less than 4 years performing. And it takes over 2 nights with 12 performers that goes down to 6 on the second night. But festivals like that do take in newer performers, and that does elevate my wonderful friend like Lillian Vogue, who have been doing amazing things in a very tiny city in Nebraska, to come up into like national dialogue about what's what and who's doing what. And I also think that festivals in America try to do a good job of curation, but if the high scoring acts are what gets in, it's a double-edged sword. Right?
Is there also, we've talked about this, and this is a spicy question. Is there also, or spicy opinion, is there also a thing where if it's a big name, there's almost like it, depending who's adjudicating, there's maybe oh my god, this person's amazing, and it doesn't, as you said, it doesn't matter if their video isn't great. They're judged more on, I know this person, they're fantastic, I think they should be on there. But there's also an element of they've just won a crown. That's actually what we talked about it in terms of competitions. They've just won a crown over there, and then they've come to a competition here with the same act, and maybe you've got a less experienced judging panel, and this is going for maybe a less experienced adjudication panel. But they've got into a big festival over there with an adjudication panel that's amazing. So maybe the less experienced one is like, well, if they got in there, then they definitely deserve to be here. And they're emulating that without actually necessarily judging it on its merit. They're judging it on the fact that someone...
They know it's achieved big things.
Yes.
And someone of a high status has gone, yes.
But you can't take away this is the the sinew and the cartilage of the bones of the act, right?
Yeah.
Who you are as a performer, you bring that onto the stage wherever you go. You're gonna have a name recognition, you're gonna have a face recognition.
Yeah.
And yes, if a really high quality act has won an award, it's probably gonna get into more festivals by default because there's name recognition, act recognition, and an award recognition that goes with it. I don't know if that's a negative.
The only reason, I'm not saying it's a negative, but am I saying are we unduly influenced by previous people's opinions and we are not judging it based on what we see? Because an act can win at one competition or get into one festival because those adjudicators or those judges liked it.
Mm.
And that's a subjective thing. Like an
It's
act
always
is-
subjective.
It's always subjective. But then if the judging panel or the adjudication panel is considered like it's full of like fucking Miss Exotic World winners or whatever, then the next festival are thinking, well, they're amazing and they thought this act was amazing. So they just agree with them without actually judging it on what the act is.
Yeah, I guess it's
The-
how good are people at putting aside their
Biases.
biases or things that things.
Yeah,
they've
but
heard
it's not
about
even
it.
biases to that person,
No.
it's biases to the fact that someone that
It's the
they
track
look up,
record.
someone that they look up to has previously thought this act is
Mm.
good. It's are we being influenced?
Yeah.
And is that one fair on the performer and two fair on the festivals? But that's a really hard thing to unpack.
Yeah.
Because it's complicated.
Yeah, it's so complicated. But these are the type of things I really like to think about.
And there are huge names in the States who are on the top 50 list
Oh yeah.
who have been getting into festivals repeat.
Yeah.
I want to say like Queen Kwan and Nola
Mhm.
Yep.
and Aquarius Moon,
Yeah.
who'll be
Yeah.
getting into clandestine next
Yeah.
week.
Buy your tickets, please. This is going to go out after the show. Never mind.
It shows next week.
But those two performers have been killing it.
Yeah.
And have been sweeping awards.
Yeah.
Queen Kwan won #1, and
Yeah.
Princess of Tease at Teaser last year. Most Dazzling at Beehoff last year.
Yeah.
Aquarius Moon, I think did Sin City.
Yep.
I think she placed Monarch for IBC,
Yeah.
Imperial Burlesque Canada. And very, very talented performers
Oh yeah.
who I think deserves to see the stages that they
Yeah.
land
This
on.
is the fact. This is why it's a complicated question and a
Yeah.
complicated thing to think about. And it's not aimed at people. It's not me thinking that person shouldn't be that. It's purely for anyone who's listening and doesn't know, like my undergraduate degree is in sociology.
Mm.
So I like to think about group think and how we're influenced by other people's opinions and how we create subcultures and how we move in those subcultures and we're influenced by other people's opinions. Like I find that really fascinating. So I'm thinking of it not in terms of the actual people. I'm thinking of it in a very like abstract
Mhm.
term. But when you bring it down to that, yeah, like these people deserve to be on these stages. There's no question about that. I just think it's an interesting thought to
What
think
feeds into
about.
that?
Yeah, what feeds
Well, because we
into
see it
these
even
things.
outside of festivals, don't we? That like the scene gets very excited about particular people
Yeah.
and they ride it. It happens to a lot of people. They'll go through a wave of like getting booked everywhere.
Yeah, Nami Flair in America is going through that right now.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I even had a little bit of it when I was fairly new. I got booked a lot for the stage that I was at, and then it's like everyone moves on to the next thing because you can't be that person forever.
It's the next hot thing.
Yeah,
It's your
like
5
it's
minutes
not.
in fame.
It's not like
Yeah.
this. It's
And I think you two talked about it at the last episode about competitions and how subjective it is, and sometimes you win one and then you lose, you don't place in the other.
literally,
vice
me and a
versa.
friend had opposite outcomes within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I think
The same
that's
act.
I think that's really important to point out because it is so subjective, because it is everything's made up. Like,
Oh my goodness.
like every word is made.
It's just for less.
Awards are made up, and it is purely subjective on whoever is sitting in the judges panel, what you're feeling that particular day, what everyone else is bringing that particular day.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is really down to just fractions when it comes to scoring.
Yeah.
And so putting that kind of weight on an award where it is so subjective,
Yeah.
to say, oh, if you get into festivals, you might get XYZ accolades,
Mhm.
or you might get into XYZ festivals. That can be a downside
Yeah.
of having an award or a competition part of the festival. I mean, we don't have to rehash topics that you guys already talked about on the last episode, but
It
like,
does kind of feed in when we're talking about adjudication though, because
Yeah.
it's still a scoring, like
Well,
in,
and a
in
lot-
America, it's
Competitions
scoring.
are a feature of a lot of festivals
Yeah.
as well, so they do
It does
come
cross over.
together.
Um,
and I do think that like competitions, there is a healthy balance.
Oh, yeah, of
when it
course.
comes to like are the adjudicators and the judges, are they clued into what the overall criteria is like?
Yeah.
Have the competitors already received what they're looking for when it comes to getting judged by this panel? Like Alberta Burlesque Rodeo in Calgary that I did last year was a competition festival, and I didn't place. But I walked away feeling fine because I wasn't thinking about placing at that festival.
Yeah.
I already won
Yeah.
by being at
Yeah.
that festival. Like that was my win for me,
Yeah.
and being able to share my slow fan act in a city that is very fast paced. That was already a victory for me.
Yeah.
And
Getting into any festival is such a like
Yeah, whether it's a competition or not, like it's
Yeah,
an
because
achievement
just
to be
getting
there.
in because you know the numbers are insane.
you're still being measured up against hundreds of other
Yeah.
applicants for that year who
Yeah.
are all bringing their best work onto a stage.
Yeah, for often like maybe 30 spots.
Yeah, yeah, not even that sometimes.
Yeah.
Like Strasbourg, I think has like maybe 20 spots.
Yeah, it's quite small.
Like I think there were like maybe
It's a
7 or
tough
8
one to
performers
get
the
into.
first one. So it's gonna vary.
Yeah.
Dutch, I think had 650 last year.
Yep.
And there were maybe 40 spots between 3 nights.
It's tight.
Yeah.
And there's literally thousands of us.
So I think like just like getting into a festival is already a win, and being able to share your art and present your work at a competition night, that is already a win.
Yeah.
But I will say like competitions have their own balance, and I think there should be like a certain percentage of festivals that should just be a showcase festival. There should be a certain festival that just should be a competition festival, and that's all okay to have.
Yeah. I really like festivals that have a showcase one night that comp one night. I really like that. Because I think it's a nice balance.
I agree.
To be fair.
I feel like most of my favourites, apart from Stockholm, which is just a showcase, most of my favourite festivals have had both. They've had one show is a competition and the rest of it is showcases.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes when it comes to a competition or a festival in general, there's 20 to 30 performers cast at a singular festival, but having a singular feature performer that wins a title, that does bring a level of visibility and an elevation of their overall art, because now you're going to have a name or title or crown or sash to go with your work. And you can also put award winning on your resume.
Yes, you can.
Which is a nice little perk. But I think that part of it, the elevating of 1 or 2 people, or sometimes 5, sometimes 6, of people in a singular festival, I do have some touchy, sensitive feelings about that aspect of it.
Talk to us.
Because 30 people performed at that festival, but only fixating on 1 or 2 people for that whole festival, whoever won, feels weird. Because again, it is very subjective, because it is all made up.
And everybody achieved by even getting in.
Right.
Yeah.
But having to fixate on one person and saying, because it is a software festival to say, this was our favorite performer this year.
Yeah. But then it almost doesn't dismiss all the other performers, but it kind of puts them in the background.
Yeah.
When actually a showcase is nice because you're literally just showcasing everyone equally.
Yeah.
Apart from the headliner.
I mean, that's what I liked about.
Some festivals don't even have headliners, do they? They're just like everybody is.
What festival?
Dutch don't have headliners.
Oh shit! Did not realize that.
No. They're just like everybody's equal. If you feel that you're a headliner, still apply. I'm like.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Minneapolis, when I first performed there, that was my first burlesque festival, 2023. They electrocute specifically said there's no headliners, but it was Medianoche and Avery Fox. I'm sorry, we're cats in a show in a festival with Medianoche, and Medianoche is not the headliner.
Yeah.
Like we all know who the headliner is.
Alps have a headliner. Yeah.
To read that email.
Last year it was Foxy.
Okay.
So it'll be amazing.
I feel like the way they put it on their thing is that they don't officially have headliners, but they have special guests if they're touring through.
And I think all that like going back to the conversation about curation and like thinking about the right lineup and the run order for your festival. You know, and if we take a step back from this as a performer, but looking at it from a production perspective, You want to have a festival that is fun for everyone.
Yeah.
Fun for the producers, fun for the audience, fun for the supporting crew, fun for the tech crew, and most importantly, fun for the audience. Many of the burlesque people who attend festivals, that's their one show that they attend in that year.
Yeah.
So you want to give them a varied experience, one that has a range of slow and fast acts, sad and happy acts, dramatic and uptight acts, but a range of discipline that shows what burlesque drag sideshow world can be. And I think in specific, American festivals do a really good job of curating a certain a mindset with diversity in mind. Canadian festivals also do that really well as well, but with a caveat that like it depends on the market that you're in. Like Toronto has a particularly large Asian population, and so it's going to have a higher Asian representation just compared to compared to like Texas, which doesn't have that much Asian population. And if you're pulling from a base of performers, you still want to have a good curate, like high quality show that an audience is going to like, but you can't always have the most diverse cast if you're not pulling from the most diverse pool.
They often don't get paid extremely well for festivals.
No.
So therefore the travel expenses will be limiting to a lot of people unless they're being booked as a headliner.
Right, and that does unfortunately rule out traveling performer for many marginalized, underrepresented groups. Because we don't always have the kind of financial support or backing to be able to travel and eat the cost and perform at cost.
I think it's a privilege to be able to do that.
I think that's one of the things I remember, and it's why I do my post when I talk about how much it costs to go to festivals, because I remember seeing loads of people doing tons of there's a period in kind of September, October where there's almost a festival every weekend in Europe.
That's the festival season in Europe.
And I remember seeing people doing every single weekend. And then I started getting out festivals and I was like, fuck me, this is expensive. It's so expensive. And I know people in Glasgow in particular who could get on festival stages.
They can't afford to.
Yeah, they work in like minimum wage jobs. That's not financially accessible. And I think that's something we don't always talk about is festivals are a privilege financially. Especially the three of us have all travelled across the fucking world. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And it adds up.
It adds up
fast. I have a specific savings account for my burlesque budget. And last year it was $10,000, 10,000 US dollars, which is not a small sum of money, but I saved that money up just for burlesque. Just to travel and do the 18 festivals that I got into. And this year it's about 15,000 because I want to be able to come over to Europe, see my fucking friends, and also do burlesque along the way and go and explore the world. But people who might not have that kind of financial background are not going to be able to afford to just spend a couple $100s on a flight, couple $100s on accommodation, couple $100s on food, and whatever else. In addition to, if they have a kid, that's something that's really difficult to pay for. In addition to, if they have a pet, that's also something difficult to pay for. And all those.
I miss my cats so much when I'm old.
I miss my dog. He apparently ate a chocolate muffin the other day.
Oh no.
He survived. He's fine.
Okay, good.
He is a 12-year-old dog that's going to outlive both of us. But that money adds up, and that is a very prohibitive element to performing. And it should be no surprise. There's really not that much money to go around in burlesque. There's a reason why there's a saying we end up tipping the same money that goes around, the same 20 quids or $20 that goes in the scene. The money isn't there. So when it comes to doing a festival, the motivation has to be, is this somewhere that I want to share my art? Is this somewhere I want to travel to? Is this going to be worth the money that I sink into? Is this going to be worth the weekend that I'm
what else am I going to get out of it that's not financial? Stuff like the video and the lineup that you're going to be on.
I remember I got into Saskatoon last year. I remember seeing who was going to Saskatoon and who was going to Kootenay, and I had to pick, and I was like, well, I'm going to Kootenay because there was more people I knew. I knew you, I knew Serenity. There was a couple other people. I was like, I'm going to that. because like I know more people. So sometimes you have to make those kind of decisions as well. But yeah, every time I went to the States, it was at least £1,500.
Yeah.
Between flights, accommodation,
Easy.
and spending money. And that's spending money where I'm like in an Airbnb buying my breakfast, like buying food for me to have my breakfast, like not really going out and not really like experiencing the
just
kind
doing
of
the minimum.
food. Like, yeah, the food is inside. And then if I can, the money I do have is to maybe go here and there to a few things that cost money, but it's about keeping the cost as low as possible because that's not like when I did it in 2014, 2024, sorry, Jesus, 2014. I wish 2024, I did 4 American festivals, and that's that very quickly racks up to a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's something that like I'm seeing a shift in some of the ways that festivals are being financed that I think is good.
Yes.
Stuff like Birmingham that's about to set up, their applications are all free, but they've secured a lot of sponsors. Melbourne, I think, has a lot of partners and sponsors and things. Because often the fee is not that high, so it's how else is a festival showing appreciation for the artists? Are they providing good videography? Are they providing good photography? Are they feeding us? Is there accommodation on offer? Are there discounts for local businesses? Like even just buying your food. Is there a discount for a local restaurant? That would be great.
It's like Alps offers you a hotel room the night you're performing.
Sacre does that as well.
Yeah, and
for this one we also had a single night.
And you get a fee paid, which is great. A lot of festivals are dropping fee to apply. I noticed as well, which is great. Like it should be free.
That makes it more accessible.
It makes it more accessible.
But I'll also say like having a free festival, like free application festival, it makes adjudication a lot harder.
Oh, I bet.
So there was a feedback that I heard from a Canadian festival that had a free application and how difficult it was to go through so many rehearsal footages, so many folks who didn't have like a full costume on for their festival submission. And it's one way or the other. Again, pros and cons.
Yeah.
If you have a $20 to $25 application fee, it's gonna end up weeding out people who aren't, I don't want to say not as serious, but it's gonna pull in people who are more serious about getting into that particular festival.
You've not got that, I might as well just send this isn't really ready, but I'll just send it anyway. So
yes.
If you're putting money down, you're probably not going to do that.
Right.
Unless you've got a decent chance, you feel.
I mean, at that point, you might be just sending a $25 donation, which is lovely for the production because
it doesn't get you anywhere.
No, but it's not. It's like a donation, a drop in a bucket. I remember first year, after I debuted my circumcision act, not at all ready to do like really festival with that act. But I remember having a conversation with a wonderful human being who kind of props up the Chicago scene of burlesque, named Bazooka Joe.
Yeah.
He produces and runs the Innovators Showcase on Thursday night. And I asked him, I'm considering submitting my circumcision act to BHOF. And he was like, BHOF is a donation to the museum. So even if you don't get it, like you're gonna go support really good cause.
To be fair, we talked about that. I apply every year on the basis of I never expect to get. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm giving a donation.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how I see my BHOF application every year. I'm like, probably.
It's just supporting the museum.
Yeah, I might not get in, but I'm going to try. And also, here's some money if I don't get in. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're still supporting a good organization, generally good organization, generally great people who are very, very deeply passionate about the things that we all care about, which is burlesque and the arts. So even if you don't get in, you're still supporting good causes, especially at a time. And I can't speak for how things are over the pond, but in America, arts funding are cut and grants are harder to secure. Sponsors are just harder to pull in that country.
Yeah.
And so when I see a $25 application, I'm going to submit it even if I don't get in because I want to help my friends. I want to help my friends get into that festival.
Well, I will say though, there's another way where there is festivals, one we've been to that we've talked about before, and another one, other ones I know that exist where because they get the fee basically funds the festival. Like they're not fussed about selling tickets.
Yeah.
Like there's been festivals that have had very little audience members.
It's just performers and maybe some friends that came.
Yeah, because
they haven't promoted.
They haven't promoted because they haven't had to, because all of the fees that have come in have basically paid for the venue and everything.
I think that's
that doesn't feel like a sustainable business model.
No.
But it also doesn't feel nice.
No.
Again, it's not a nice experience to go.
No, when you have an audience of 10 people,
Yeah,
that's not that
exactly.
fun.
in a fucking theater,
Yeah,
massive theater, and there's like dots of people.
yeah.
It's not nice.
No.
But there's definitely a few of them kicking about.
And I think that's like a gray area, right? For producers,
That's a producer problem that they need to. That's about ethically producing, which is
Yeah.
a whole other topic.
and you want to be able to pull in audience that doesn't normally go to burlesque or doesn't normally go to like a weekly bar show down at at your corner bar somewhere. But you want to be able to pull in audiences that want to that are comfortable and okay and willing to shell out sometimes $40 to $100 for like a whole
These
weekend.
people get dressed up. It's like a special occasion.
Yeah.
For them. If they're not somebody that goes to shows all
Yeah.
the time, they're like, oh.
And that's not
Okay.
easy as a producer to be able to market to a certain audience.
It's hard.
And like there are certain festivals that I won't apply to that does a really great job of selling a specific vision for an audience. And I love that they can do that. That's a very specific and very difficult skill set to have.
Yep.
Still not a festival that I'll perform in, but
Yeah.
you know, it's work.
I think it's thinking about, like you say, it's ethical producing, and it's thinking about festivals like any shows, but particularly festivals, because I feel like they're elevated because of the kind of application system.
Mhm.
How is that actually helping your local scene and the scene at large? If nobody's coming, if you're not getting people, because festival, like you said, that might be the only show somebody goes to in the entire year. It might be somebody's first ever show. You often go to festivals and host that, has anyone never been to a burlesque show before? Often at festivals, there's quite a few. And you think, if the festival does a good job and that's that person's gateway, they might then get really into burlesque and then start coming to local shows that props up the local scene.
Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because you bring up a really good point about the regional reputation of a festival within that scene.
Yeah.
One of the first things that I do when I get an invitation to perform at a festival is
locals.
I check in with the locals. I check in with people that performed there last year. So for Strasbourg, I checked in with Abby Fantastic, who performed last year, and she said the festival was good. So I said yes. And obviously every city has its tea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like when you work in nightlife, you're gonna end up bumping elbows.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be some bruised egos because we have, egos and self-esteem. Some of us do anyway.
Issues. Issues.
It's really interesting when you go to a festival and a region reacts in a specific way.
Yes.
So about 2 years ago, Burlesque Festival got kind of canceled in Boston for a very good reason because the region didn't respond well to the people that produced that festival.
Yep.
And for a good reason. And then the region ended up coming together to create a showcase to support the artists that already purchased the tickets to come here and perform that weekend.
Like me.
Yeah. But like
that was lovely. That was from my perspective, that was a lovely experience to have locals come around and say, we're going to give you a home and we're going to pay you and you're going to have a show. And it was so much fun. When because I'd already booked my flights and stuff, I was like, well, I'm just going to Salem for the weekend, which I wasn't sad about.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, I also got listed as alternate for that one. But then I got canceled, I guess. But it is really interesting that, because there is a difference between, there are some people within the community that don't like that festival.
Yeah.
Versus that festival is just straight up not liked by anyone within that region.
Yes.
And a really easy way, and you guys talked about this at the last episode, is just to check in. Because even if you haven't individually performed at that specific festival, you're gonna know someone who performed at that festival.
Yeah. Especially in places like the UK, like it's a small country.
Yeah, we all talk to each other.
Yeah, so it doesn't help to just ask.
Yeah.
If you get an invitation to perform, just ping someone.
Just check.
Yeah.
Just check in with someone that lives in that city, or look at a cast list of that festival and just check in with them to see what their experience was like before you send that yes.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing I do when I get an invitation.
Even a fine. This has been a lot of fun. We're going to go have lunch and probably have more of these conversations, just not recorded. And this one's a waiting.
It's show day.
Show day.
Yeah, show day. She's opening tonight.
But
I cannot wait to watch you perform. It's gonna be such a good experience.
it's going to be amazing. But no, thank you so much for listening. We have our free Patreon where there will probably be bloopers at some point because there's so many. And follow Joona on Instagram.
Joona Bae on Instagram, JoonaBae.
And see all the wonderful things they're doing. Buy tickets for Clandestine, even though this goes out after Valentine's Day. There's always Clandestine shows. And we love you and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.